What's good, Mind Speakers? If you click this video, you already know what's going down. Winter is officially here. This video is for my Game of Thrones fans. I will be reviewing the last season of Game of Thrones because I don't know if I probably talked about Game of Thrones in my think tanks, but now I want to do full official reviews of the last season of the best show of all time. And if you're one of those people who don't watch Game of Thrones, believe me, we don't care. None of us give a fuck if you don't watch Game of Thrones. That's not a personality trait. You deciding not to be happy has nothing to do with me. In fact, I thought I was gonna be able to just talk about it real quick in another video, but no, there's way too many bars, there's way too many moments, so we have to review each episode one by one with its own video. So we are starting today. Before we even get into that, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that way even if you're just here for the Game of Thrones reviews, you can check out my other content and you can be here for the entire last season of Game of Thrones because this shit is about to be epic. So the episode starts off with Jon and his auntie bae Daenerys. Everybody's rolling up into Winterfell, boom boom, because it's time. I don't remember if Sansa and Arya know if Jon has bent the knee or not, but Jon has bent the knee, so now this is pretty much Daenerys' shit. Everyone's giving Daenerys looks, and Jon pretty much tells Daenerys, well, I told you that, you know, they take a minute to warm up. But Daenerys just rolls in her white coat and just kind of looking at everything. She's such a humble flex. Like, I hate that about her, that she's just gonna ride in, looking normal, looking cool, and then all of a sudden the dragons fly in and everyone's like, oh shit! Which would have been me, because what the fuck? And she just kind of has this smug face on, like, yeah, bitch, you didn't respect me then, you'll respect me now. It's like, oh, okay, Daenerys, calm down, get your dick off the table. Which, that first scene is pretty much a theme that goes on with the whole episode, is that Daenerys really has this I'll be respected or I'll be feared mentality, which a lot of people aren't really taking too well. And we'll see how that goes for the rest of the season, if it goes for the rest of the season, because it's hard to love. Also, this is the first time Arya has seen Jon since season 1, which is fucking nuts, but of course she's lurking in the shadows like a little gremlin. Of course, Winterfell's in the north. These people are not from the north, so Tyrion is cold as fuck. Tyrion, who is me, who I love. And he tells Varys, who I also love, you should consider yourself lucky. At least you won't be freezing your balls off, because we know Varys is a eunuch. Jon sees Bran for the first time since season 1 and gives him a hug. Jon and Bran, Jon really did love his little siblings. It was just Sansa and Catelyn that just were so mean to him, but Sansa has come a long way. He tells Bran, wow, you're a man, and Bran's like, yeah, something like that. Which, it's not that Bran is transitioning into a man still, it's that he's transitioning out of being a man. Like, Bran is the three-eyed raven, but Jon don't know none of that shit yet, and Bran is just sitting there perked out as usual in his chair. Sansa is standing there. Something about Sansa is just matured to a point where I like respect her. She has this Catelyn and Cersei energy that's like a tornado of both, which is kind of scary. She's standing here like, bitch, I'm the lady of motherfucking Winterfell, like regal ass shit. And she's ready to meet Daenerys. Jon kind of hugs her and she's like, yeah, where's the bitch? And their first interaction really isn't a sweet one. It's very much like,
hey, Bo. Hey, girl. Hey. Hey. Hi. Hi.
And we can tell that they're not gonna really get along. They're gonna have a hard time submitting to one another because they're both alphas. To which Bran is just like, alright, we ain't even doing it. Cut the shit. The Night King broke the wall. He's got your dragon. And Jon's like, how the fuck do you know that? Which no one's even questioning how Bran has all this information. But Bran, I like Bran because Bran be giving it up straight, no chaser, which is kind of how I see myself. Bran will just give it to you, no ego. The information needs to get out. I don't care who it comes from. Listen here, bitch, get it together. Let's live right, let's move right, let's survive. How about that, okay? And we'll get into the dynamic between Sansa and Daenerys a little bit later because I can't. So they're all in the meeting and Sansa tells poor little Ned Umber, take his ass back up to Last Hearth with whatever the fuck you need and bring your men down here. I don't even know why you didn't bring them down here in the first place. We don't have time. So poor Ned has to go all the way back and to bring his men back. Poor little kid, because we know that that doesn't really happen. And that is when my legend, the young queen Lyanna Mormont, basically says,
excuse me?
Who's not the king in the north? Because I could have swore that me and my people pledged you. We are under you. Who the fuck is she? And they even threw that in there when Ned really didn't know who to address or who to ask for the things he needed to go back and get his people. He didn't know whether to ask Sansa, Jon, or Daenerys. These people have no idea who they're pledging their loyalty to. And they're not going to be told that they're pledging their loyalty to Daenerys when they don't know her, and her father was the Mad King. They don't necessarily like her either. But Jon just doesn't care because Jon has seen what is happening. Jon has seen the worst of it. Jon knows that the Night King, as he comes down, he's collecting. So now whatever he's collected from the Night's Watch, he's now bringing that army. He's collecting his army, and whatever he kills here, he's gonna bring that further down. So we're in big trouble. So Jon is not playing identity politics here. But Sansa is, because Sansa's now being difficult after Tyrion basically says that the Lannisters are coming up too. And Sansa goes, okay, well, I wasn't planning on feeding all these people, and only names all of Daenerys' people. And then she says, and 2 dragons. What do dragons even eat anyway? And Daenerys looks at her and says, whatever they want. Which is basically just nice for you if you don't tread lightly, bitch. Which to me, I would have looked right back at her like,
so are you gonna choke?
You, if you don't get out my face.
Who is she gonna choke?
You better get up out my face. Cause you.
Here's my thing about Daenerys and Sansa. To me, Sansa has a level of information that's below Daenerys' level of information because Sansa hasn't seen the dead the way that Daenerys has seen it. Daenerys rode up there and saw all that for herself. So Daenerys should be the first one to be like, hey yo, this is bigger than me, this is bigger than you, let's just get this shit done. Sansa is still playing Game of Thrones because she has a house to protect. She doesn't know just how bad it is, but Daenerys should know how bad it is because she's seen it. So why is she still playing Game of Thrones? It doesn't make any sense because with Daenerys, it's all about identity, it's all about birthright, it's all about her getting what she believes she's owed and not just about doing right. And that's the complete opposite of Jon. So to me in this one, I gotta say, I'm on Team Sansa because Sansa's only doing what she knows is right. But I believe if Sansa knew otherwise, she might act accordingly. She doesn't understand the army of the dead, but Daenerys does. So why are you still acting up? You know better, so do better. So just do better. Tyrion gets a moment alone with Sansa, who's technically his wife, but Sansa flew the fuck up out of there once Joffrey died at that wedding after Lady Olenna was basically like, not that bitch, you ain't marrying my granddaughter, no. So they haven't seen each other since then. And Tyrion says to Sansa, you know, all that underestimated you are dead now, which is very true. I've never been a Sansa stan. However, you can say that Sansa has earned her wisdom, Sansa has earned her keep, Sansa has earned this air that she has about her through her hardships, and that's why she's so intuitive, and that she knew to tell Tyrion, you were once so smart. You really think that Cersei is sending that army up here? You know damn well she ain't sending no army, which is the truth. And Sansa's very wise because of all that she's been through. And of course, Bran off of Zan is down there lurking, knowing exactly what's happening because he can hear all, see all, and know all. Jon and Arya finally get a moment up north near that tree face, which I love because so much has happened near that tree. So many people who are no longer alive, but it's got so much family history. It's just, I love that tree for some reason. It's really rich in the story, and they get a moment. And really the moment is just about reconnecting. Jon sees that Arya still has the sword he gave her. He asked, have you used it? And she's like, once or twice, which means hell yeah, nigga. And, you know, Arya's just pretty much like, so what's that? What's going on with that? Because I need to make sure you still here. And even though Arya and Sansa have had their differences, Arya's now like, listen here, baby. Big sister's the head honcho because we are a family. And once again, I can see her not understanding the dynamics of the fact that Jon doesn't give a fuck about none of this shit because the dead is really serious. She just wants to make sure that he's being a Stark and he's honoring, you know, Stark intentions. And so the tug of war over Jon is completely ensuing. We have Arya and Sansa on one end and we have Daenerys and the dragons on the other end. And Jon is being split between both as if he's actually he is both. So it's like, leave him alone. But he doesn't know that yet. But Arya just pretty much pulls up like, yeah, alright, smash who you want, but let's just make sure you fucking with us the long way. Capiche? But all the way back in King's Landing, Cersei gets news that the dead have broken through the wall, and she has the nerve to smile. Like, she's happy. She is just an evil bitch. Like, Cersei is so motherfucking evil. While she's surrounded by all the troops she swore that she was gonna send up to help them. Here's where Cersei's a dumb bitch. She's a dumb bitch, but she's also a bad one. But we're gonna start with the dumb. The Night King collects. You don't know the full extent of what the dead do. So if the dead are gonna come all the way down to King's Landing, you realize they're going to collect every single person who has ever been killed is going to rumble down here. You will never be able to prepare that form of an army. Asshole. You were better off going up there and fighting that battle up there while they have less. And also, they risked their lives to bring back one of the dead to you to show you just how bad it can be, and still, here you are. being a bitch. But in front of Cersei, we see the Greyjoy ships coming down, and Euron is of course in the ship, and he still has Yara, in which he pretty much tells Yara the only reason why she's not dead yet is because there's only 2 Greyjoys left, and they're the only 2 with balls anyway, which is basically Theon shade, and Theon honestly left her for dead, but he comes back and saves her, but we'll talk about that in a second. And in typical Euron fashion, he tells Yara that he has plans to bust down Cersei's pasty white ancestral regal cheeks as soon as he gets there, which is just like, sure. And it's also kinda nasty, but whatever. Turns out they've bought 20,000 men and 2,000 horses, and Cersei still doesn't give a fuck because Cersei was promised elephants. So now she's pissed because she was like, but I wanted elephants. But they're like, elephants really don't travel like that, so sorry. Then all of a sudden, Euron basically hits Cersei with the "you up" text in person, to which Cersei pretty much goes, I told you ain't nothing even fly between us until after the war. And Euron's basically like, so you ain't gonna let me smash till after the war? Like, you know war lasts dumb long, like war could last years. And Cersei gives the IG caption of IG captions, and she says, you want a whore? Go buy one. You want a queen? Earn her. And then she lets him smash like 30 seconds later, which is like, then what was the point of you even giving all that? But I can say Euron got game because Euron's an alpha and Cersei's an alpha. So it's kind of like they can respect each other at the top of their game. And she tells him, you're insolent. I've executed men for less. And he says, they were less than men. That line, she was like, yeah, run that. I honestly do stand their relationship because the banter is great. They seem to understand each other's complexities. And Euron sees past that tough wall that Cersei puts up, like she's unattainable, like she can't, he like, shut up, get over here stupid. Like he just ran that. So like, I can totally see them being together because I feel like they're gonna be fun to watch because they're both douche canoes. But then he had the nerve after to ask like, so yo, how my meat compare to Robert's and your brother's? Which is a lot, Euron, calm down. And then he basically tells her, yo, I'm gonna put a baby in there, watch. You won't give me a son. And she's like, like, cause we already know, she already has a son nephew up in there, bro. So it's just no way it's gonna be yours. Which I think she might pass that baby off as Euron, seeing as she's not really cool with Jaime right now. So we'll see. But after Cersei's done, she's like, all right, thank you for dropping the dick off, but you gotta go. Like, get out. I don't want no more of that talk, no more small talk, get out. Bye. Which is then when Cersei becomes a bad bitch to me because she's kind of like, yo, your purpose is done, get out. So it's like, come on, Cersei the Stallion. I feel like all Cersei's missing for her bad bitch transformation is her bundles. That's all she needs is her bundles. And I hope after she's done with Daenerys, she just scalps her and takes her wig and wears it. I hope she don't even restyle it. I hope she just leaves it exactly the same. Leave the braids, leave the color, just rock the wig. Bronn, who's another one of my favorite characters, is in the brothel getting it in when he gets approached with a crossbow and is basically told, Cersei says, if they survive, she wants both of her brothers killed with this. A crossbow, which is what Tyrion killed their father with on the toilet, which is really sick. And it shows that Cersei's really mad and that she doesn't want them to be a part of any of the future because I don't know if technically, no. I don't think technically they would be heirs to the throne over her. I just think she's just mad. But Cersei is harsh as fuck, so if she'll do that to her own family, Reek, formerly known as Theon, decides that he's going to show up and save Yara after he pretty much left her when Euron was going to cut her neck, so he didn't even know if she was going to be alive to save her, but he came back to do it, to which Yara repays him with a headbutt, who I love. I love their relationship, but Yara pretty much says that she's going to go back to defend the Iron Islands because the dead can't go there, and if Queen Daenerys needs somewhere to go, she's going to need to go, and Theon basically says, I want to go fight with the Starks, and you motherfucking better, because you owe the Starks so much. Which is kind of sad, because I'm pretty sure Theon is going to die, and I'm pretty sure that's the last time we're going to see Theon and Yara together, but a beautiful moment. So Davos, Varys, and Tyrion are walking around, and Davos is basically letting Tyrion know the Northmen thrive off of loyalty, and they've pledged loyalty to Jon Snow, and the free folk don't bow down to new people, don't really bow down to anyone, and they don't respond well to intimidation, so therefore Daenerys is gonna have to earn respect by respect and not by fear if she wants loyalty. So let your girl know. I really haven't been a fan of Davos ever since he got my baby Melisandre banished for setting that little Baratheon girl with eczema on fire, because it was like, that was her parents decided to do it, like, so what? The Lord of Light said that something was needed as sacrifice and they offered up their daughter. She didn't do it, but whatever, because Davos is dropping gems. And then Varys pretty much says, they ain't gonna listen to us anyway. They're a new regime, we're old, we're dusty, and we have to understand that we don't necessarily have influence in this relationship. And Varys drops the bar and he says, respect is how the young keep us at a distance so they don't remind us of an unpleasant truth, which is a bar, because if you don't get that close, then it's kind of like, that's all we have is respect. We don't have rapport, which is very true because I don't think any of them really have rapport. Maybe Tyrion has some rapport with Daenerys, but the rapport is very far from either of them. So Davos wants both of them to rule, but Varys is like, nothing ever lasts. Like, that's not gonna happen. It's gonna be one or the other, which is foreshadowing them having a fight. Then we cut down to them talking, to which Daenerys tries to sucker Jon and her tug of war point and is like, your sister doesn't like me. And Jon goes, girl, she just doesn't know you. And if it makes you feel any better, she didn't like me either. And then Daenerys pretty much goes, she doesn't have to like me. We ain't gotta be friends, but I am her queen. So she's gonna respect me. And if she can't respect me, now this is when we would have had a problem because Daenerys want to set everybody on fire who has an issue. How about instead of you calling your dragons to Dracarys every time you have a problem, you just as a grown woman maybe just say, yo, let's talk about what the issue is. What's going on, Sansa? You don't have to have Jon and Jorah and the dragons up your ass every single time you need to have a conversation. You can use your words. But no, once again, Daenerys and her identity politics is the issue here. But in the north, there's no food for the dragons. They couldn't even find enough sheep and shit for them to eat. So Daenerys and Jon take a ride somewhere. I don't even know what the purpose of this was because the scene was very like Aladdin, like I can show you the world, a whole new world. Like it was just very that. And then they ended up riding almost even further north. I was like, I thought you said the dragons hated it north. I thought you were gonna go somewhere for the dragons to feed. No, it was just somewhere for them to be alone so that way Daenerys could get some dick. I can see Daenerys trying to use her auntie box to like win Jon over. She's trying to use her dragons and her box to kind of keep Jon in place. All of you are fighting for Jon's influence, but the only thing that Jon is influenced by is by staying alive. Which wouldn't that make him the perfect king? Not you, Daenerys? Which of course he smashes anyway, which I'm gonna call complete and total bullshit because A, it's dumb cold, so physically that's not happening, and B, you have two dragons staring you in the face, so that's double not happening. The least the dragons could have done was go found some materials to build a cute little fire, or even, you know, breathed a little bit of a steam or something just to keep them warm. Arya runs into the Hound who's picking on Gendry, and they have their little meeting. Who Arya and the Hound have this cute little love-hate relationship because the Hound, who I love, loves Arya, you can tell. Which I think honestly he might die for Arya in the end. I can see that because he's not surviving. He's too lovable. And he tells her, you left me to die. And she says, I robbed you first. And then he goes, you're a cold little bitch, and that's why you're alive. And you can tell he's happy to see her alive. And then you have this cute little moment between Gendry and Arya, who haven't seen each other since they were both in hiding together because Cersei was going to have them all killed. And Gendry, of course, is making all these weapons out of dragon glass because that's what they need to kill the dead. And I'm feeling flirtations, and I like that. I love the dichotomy between him being the welder and her being the warrior princess, and him building her all these things that she can use and wield, and they've had a long-standing relationship. I kind of feel like there are no forced unions in Game of Thrones. It's just kind of like characters who fit, they just fit. And they do a great job at writing those in. So I am loving seeing what can possibly be from Gendry and Arya, but there's like 5 episodes left, so probably not. But it's like the daughter of Ned and the actual son of Robert. It's like, my heart! Sansa reads a letter and lets Jon know that House Glover basically says, I signed up to serve the king in the north, and so since I'm not serving the king in the north, I'm not coming. And Jon once again gets upset because he's like, I don't give a fuck about who's serving who. I'm not playing Game of Thrones, I'm playing life or death. And Sansa pretty much just wants to know, hey, did you bend the knee because you had to for the north, or did you do it just because you smashing? And he doesn't have an answer. Daenerys walks into a library or a study of sorts where she finds Sam, and of course Jorah is right behind her waiting to smash. Lord Jesus, any kind of energy that falls upon the spirit of Jorah, keep it far away from me. Jorah had told Daenerys that Sam was the reason why he survived Grayscale because Jorah pretty much had a death sentence, and Daenerys wants to offer him, like, you know, a position when she does take the throne. That's all it's about for her, the fucking throne. And she finds out his last name because he's like, oh, I need a pardon because I stole some shit from my dad, Randall Tarley, and everyone is just kind of like, because if you don't remember, last season, because they wouldn't bend the knee, they didn't do anything wrong, they just refused to bend the knee, she literally barbecued Sam's dad and brother at the stake. And so she lets him know, yeah, about that. Sam's heart is broken. And honestly, I never liked Sam. I've never been a fan of Sam. I felt like they wrote him in and his whole character point. I feel like they were giving him more than what he deserved because he's that dopey character that I feel like so often Game of Thrones fans need to watch to attach to. I thought honestly he could have died a long time ago, but I now see why he's here is because he's building himself to be the next great counsel, and Jon is going to need counsel. I can see Sam being Jon's hand, more so than I can see any of the other ones. And Bran basically tells him, you have to tell him and you have to tell him now. And she's like, why don't you tell him? You're his brother. He goes, no. I'm nobody's brother. I'm the three-eyed raven. In fact, I'm sitting here waiting for somebody to pull up, so I'm gonna need you to go handle that because I'm not leaving this spot until who I need to see come here. So you go tell him the reality of this situation. He needs to know now. Go. So I can see why Sam is here. It's because building the future, Jon needs Sam. So I take back everything I may have said about Sam, which is gonna hurt, but I can admit when I'm wrong. The last time Jon and Ned saw each other, Ned said, the next time I see you, I'm gonna tell you the truth about your mother. And they haven't seen each other until now, which is just Game of Thrones just building these layers. And Sam pulls up and he is pissed. And he's basically like, she barbecued my brother and my father for some reason that doesn't even look like they did anything. So I wanna know if you would have done the same. And Jon pretty much can't defend it. He tries to say, oh, well, you know, I've executed before. And she's like, well, you've pardoned too. I've watched you do it. And Jon can't defend it because it's starting to point out more and more that Daenerys is a fucking problem. And so Sam just drops it. She ain't even the queen. You're actually the king. Your mother was Lyanna Stark. Your dad's Rhaegar Targaryen. You're a whole Aegon Targaryen. You are the heir to the throne. I don't even know why she's here. So now everyone hates Daenerys, which I kind of feel like Jon might keep that information in the tuck because if more people know that they don't need Daenerys, I fully believe that Daenerys could die and those dragons would just follow Jon. But if Jon reveals that information, more people are gonna want her dead than not. Jon is also kind of conflicted, like, why wouldn't my dad tell me this? And Sam was like, well, Robert would have killed you, stupid. That's why he did this. He saved you. This is now an issue, a huge issue. And I hope we realize we are witnessing the fall of Daenerys Targaryen. Daenerys has done nothing the whole time besides gripe and complain about what she feels like she's owed and she deserves. And realistically, she is not owed anything. Maybe her purpose in this whole designed divine order that Game of Thrones seems to be playing around with is that she was basically meant to lead Jon to his destiny. And Sam drops a bar and says, I've witnessed you give up your crown to save your people. Would she do the same? I honestly don't know what's gonna go on with Daenerys. I don't know. I don't know. I could see Daenerys going dark. I could see Daenerys going Night King, to be honest. I could see her turning there, but we'll see. And then Tormund, who is probably one of my favorite characters in the show. They're all up there. They've rolled up from the Night's Watch all the way down to Last Hearth, where they actually find poor little Ned Umber stapled to the wall with arms in a symbol basically placed by the Night King, so he didn't make it. And now that means the Starks are down another army because the entire Last Hearth now belongs to the Night King except for little Ned Umber, who when Tormund turns around, he opens up his eyes and I'm just sitting beside myself like...
Lord, I'm having a heart attack. Damn, this is some scary shit.
And that shit was scary as fuck, and then they set him on fire. So, poor little Ned Umber doesn't even survive, and Last Hearth now belongs to the Night King. And of course, we see somebody ride in on a horse, and Bran has not moved. Bran is with the shits. Bran is here on the pull up. I love Bran. That is very me. I will sit and wait for you. If we got beef and I know where you gonna be, I'ma sit and wait. And Bran sat right there and waited for my man's Jaime Lannister to pull up, who he hasn't seen since Jaime threw him from that tower because he caught him fucking Cersei, his sister, while she was there with the king, her husband. A mess. This is a mess. I wonder what Bran is gonna say to Jaime because Bran's really kind of disconnected from Bran. He's kind of like otherworldly and three-eyed ravenish, but I want to see if Bran is still in there and if Bran is still tight. Because I'd still be tight. And wow, what an episode. This episode was loaded. They set up so much. There was not a dead scene. There was not a dead moment. Everything fucking mattered. I'm completely satisfied with this episode because it sets up the larger episodes so well. And I think next episode, the Night King is so close because we've seen that he's past Last Hearth that we might see a battle for Winterfell. We might see that battle next episode. So I'm really scared. I don't know. I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna die. It's just a matter of when. And I really don't want everyone dying soon, but god damn. I'm surprised everybody made it past this episode. I think we'll be losing some people we love next episode. and that sucks. I left a comment in the YouTube community tab last night. Yeah, it's kind of soon. I'll make sure I do it in advance next time for you guys to post and tell me how you guys feel about the episode, and then I would read some of your reactions. So make sure you guys look out for that during this oncoming season if you're a Game of Thrones fan, so that way I can shout you out if you left a good comment. But let's go through some of these. Jasmine Jackson says, when I saw John at that cave, bitch, we about to die and you trying to fuck? Honestly, it was kind of like, if you don't get your ass down there and mediate a conversation between your sister and your girlfriend, auntie, please. But I mean, John, of course, is just trying to hit, which, me. Kiwi Jush says, Sansa's side-eye to Dany is enough to make a whole season. Yo, I love the tension between those two. Sohan Desai says, I'm starting to absolutely hate Jon Snow. The importance they're giving him, I just don't get it. If you don't understand the importance of Jon Snow, then I don't think you're a fan of Game of Thrones at all. Bella Dolce 1000 says, I was not ready. Sansa's ready to give Daenerys that work though, and Daenerys is ready to let her dragons give Sansa that work, so. South LA Tay said, I feel like they're making Daenerys less and less likable and more power hungry. When she finds out that Jon has more of a claim to the throne than she does, I don't think that's going to go down well. To me, it felt like there were lots of happy moments between characters in this episode because the writers want us to be that much more devastated when they start killing people off. Well, we know that's exactly what they do, which is why I'm like, please don't get attached. Everyone is dying. But they're not making Daenerys less likable. We're just realizing that Daenerys is less likable. You know when I realized Daenerys wasn't likable? I played the Game of Thrones game on PS4, and that showed me that Daenerys is just not like, she just wants to be served. If you don't serve her, you die. If you do serve her, but it's wrong, you die. There's nothing really you can do besides kiss her ass to the specific point of which she likes it to be kissed, and then you live. That's it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about the Game of Thrones season premiere down below. Let me know your predictions as to what's gonna go down, no matter how ridiculous, because none of us really know. And make sure you look out for my next Game of Thrones review next week. And as usual, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If not, suck a dick, and I'll be seeing you guys later. Deuce. I don't feel like I'm in this relationship. Am I in this relationship? Who am I? What is this? What?